Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with this channel or are watching this channel for the very first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense because here we talk about everyday issues where we try to seek logical solutions. Unfortunately, not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it is called uncommon sense. I just want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Um, now what you see here is a notice. Only subscribers can enter the comments in the chat. Okay. So there's a function in YouTube where once activated, the only ones that can enter comments in the chat are the subscribers. And that's a reason behind that. Lately, I've been hit with trolls entering disrespectful and inappropriate comments in the chat. So, as a way to try to deal with these individuals, I activated this function. So, if anybody who's watching this stream and if it's not a subscriber, if you wish to enter a comment, you're more than welcome, but you will have to subscribe to the channel. First of all, I just want to give a huge shout out, as always, to all those who have subscribed to my channel. And to all of you, I just want to say thank you very much for all the love and support that all of you have given me. I also wish to give a huge shout out to all those who watch my content on a regular basis. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter into your devices to give me your time. Because to be truthful, you could have gone to one of the millions of other different YouTube creators, but you chose to allow me to enter into your devices. So I just want to say thank you very much. What I'm going to ask all of you to do is the following. If you have not done so, uh, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do prepare content, you will have the opportunity to either watch it live or watch it after the stream is over, which is commonly called as the playback. In a few minutes, I'm going to drop the link, and anyone who wishes to join the panel may do so. Now, let me just explain to you what is the topic for tonight's episode. And the title is How to Improve Communication Among the Sexes. Some of you might be asking, why are we talking about it? Because sometimes there could be confusion among when males speak to females and females speak to males. Part of it has to do with our perception. Part of it has to do with interpretation, and part of it has to do with how we assimilate thoughts, words, and thinking. So that's the reason why we're having this discussion. Now, before we get into discussion, I just want to let everybody know that tomorrow night I'll be live at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. And it's going to be open discussion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be talking about different topics that are on my mind. And of course, the audience will be given an opportunity to join the panel and discuss whatever's on their mind. So what I'm going to do is, just give me a moment. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link. Sorry. Just give me a moment. Okay. I see here that there's currently 5 people watching this stream. And I'm going to say, and to those 5 people, I say thank you very much. Now, lately, on numerous streams, I have asked the female members of the audience that if they have any topics that they want me to discuss or cover, to please hit me up at my IG at cute1ny. Unfortunately, no lady has submitted any ideas, and only one lady reached out to me. I guess I don't know. She said she was looking for a friend, or I don't know. She might have been trying to hook up with me for something. I don't have an IG account for hookups. I have an IG account where I express my views of my points of view. And I see here we have the presence of the magic mulata. Good evening. Thank you very much for stopping by. I really appreciate your last stream in regards to mental health. That's something that we all need to discuss. And it is a serious issue. And I have discussed it on numerous occasions. So what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to talk with the ladies that I do interact on Instagram and see if they have any suggestions or any topics for me to discuss. It seems like the idea of just opening up my IG for any lady to give me a suggestion did not work out very far. Okay. In either case, what we're going to do is we're going to get into the meat and potatoes on it. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to share some articles that deals with the topic of how to improve communications among the sexes. Okay. Hopefully, those in the audience, I mean, at least those who have subscribed to my channel, will enter their comments. And again, you're more than welcome to join the panel. Okay. Here, I don't censor people, but I do have 2 requests. Number 1, please do not outspeak me or anyone on the panel. Please do not disrespect me or anyone on the panel. Because what's going to happen is if you do that, you will be blocked and removed. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share an article that I came across from Point Park University. And the name of the on the article is called Gender Communication, Differences in Communication Styles. Okay. Gender communication refers to a specialized area that focuses on the differences on how men and women communicate. It's an interesting field made even more complicated by the changing definitions of gender in the 21st century. More research into gender communications focus on the roles people of different genders in areas such as media, politics, sports, business, and academia. It might include examinations of comments on the internet by people of different genders, or how genders have been represented throughout history in artwork, fiction, and even public policy. Now I'm going to get to what's called gender differences in speech content. And we need to discuss these topics in order to improve um, communication among the sexes. It's important to realize that as much of what follows deals strictly with men and women, we live in a transitional era where keeping up with the changing attitudes toward sex and gender are difficult to track. Also, research into gender communication started only about 50 years ago, focusing on differences in language styles. Men and women also differ when it comes to what they say. Um, Now, I'm just going to share you what the article states. I don't necessarily agree or disagree. I'm just sharing you some different perspectives. So please bear that in mind. Men tend to a report style, meaning they use speech that contains facts, data, and aims to solve problems. Okay. And we have the presence of Christina. Good evening. Long time no see. I hope you're doing well. I imagine you had a great time in the DR. Thank you very much for entering your comments in the chat. Okay. They tend to leave out personal information or anecdotes. They also try to dominate a conversation. Okay. And we also have the presence of Kfit. Good evening. I hope you're doing well tonight. The link is there. If anyone wishes to join me, and we can discuss it. And I would love to get the ladies' view when it comes to these topics. And we have, of course, the introvert Boricua. Good evening, sir. Okay. I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that you're feeling better. Um, okay. So the link is there, everybody, if you wish to join the panel. Okay. Now we're going to talk about. Okay. Okay, no problem. What I'm going to do in the meanwhile, I'm just going to share this information. And mind you, I'm not saying what is gospel. I'm just simply stating some points of view, which is why I would deeply appreciate the ladies come in on the panel, um, so they can help us men um, to improve our ability to communicate with them. Okay, okay. Women use more of a rapport style that aims towards relationship building. Excuse me. Let me just take care of this. Okay. Okay. They tend to share more personal information and emphasize inclusion of all speakers. In a way, it's kind of correct. What you think, ladies? Is you think any of this information is accurate or is misleading? Okay, now we're going to get into what's called nonverbal cues in different genders. Research into gender communication has expanded into the area of nonverbal communication. It includes the following insights. Facial expressions. Men use fewer of the thousands of the variable facial expressions that women do. That includes smiling less. And then there's a thing called paralanguage. I know, now this is the first, I didn't know this such a thing existed until recently. Now, this includes such areas as tone, pitch, and speaking speed. Women use paralanguage to express meaning far more than men. And then there's another element which is called physical space. Men prefer speaking face to face and will stand closer to women than they will to men. Women are just as comfortable speaking side by side, such as in a car, and more comfortable being close to other women. Hmm. Now that's an interesting thought. And ladies, you're more than welcome to enter any comments in the chat. Okay, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm not gonna bite. I can accept criticism. Okay. Now another element is touch. Women use touch to reassure or build a connection, such as touching an arm to support someone who is speaking. Men use touch more as a show of dominance, including pats, back slaps, and shoulder touches, according to company, learning tech company Valamis. Eye contact. Women use eye contact as a way to connect with a speaker, showing that they are engaged and listening. Men may avoid it altogether or listen with eyes closed as the other person speaks. That's odd. It's also important to note that paying attention is something men do not do well as a gender. Research also has shown that men have less success than women in reading nonverbal cues and sending nonverbal cues, according to Psychology Today. You know what? In a way, that kind of makes sense because, to be honest, sometimes we're completely lost when we're communicating with the ladies. So sometimes we do have to ask a lot of questions. What's your thought? What your ladies think about? Okay. While research backs these differences, it's important for public relations and advertising professionals to avoid using only stereotypes when it comes to men and women. Many men may use communication styles that are mostly associated with women and vice versa. When it comes to gender communication, the key is understanding both the general rules and the nuances of communication. Now, the article was dated May 27th of last year. Um, Now, the fact of the matter is, uh, and truthfully, there are different styles in communication, but it's not necessarily male and female. Okay, I mean, you have some men um, that tend to communicate in a masculine way, so to speak, and you have some women that it's more feminine. So it's an interesting conversation. So what I'm going to do is just give me a moment. Excuse me. Just give me a moment. Now I'm going to share with you an article from Psychology Today. Okay. And it was written by Dr. Audrey Nelson, who was a PhD. So it's good because we have a lady to express her point of view and expertise on the topic. Because the whole point is to try to maintain a balance between male and female. Okay. And the name of the article is How to Enhance Communication Between the Sexes, the Androgynous Bridge. That's an interesting title. Okay. And it starts with one who can associate with both masculine and female characteristics. Now, this article is kind of old. It was posted July 31st, 2011, but it's something, to think about. Okay. In an article in O Magazine, playfully titled, Why Can't a Woman Be More Like a Man? And Vice Versa. Author Amy Blue makes this point quite eloquently. Our mistake is to think that a wide range of humanity represents aberration, when in fact it represents just what it is, a range. Nature is not two little notes, masculine or feminine, on a child's flute. Nature is more like Aretha Franklin's fast, magnificent, capricious, occasionally hilarious, and infinitely varied. Okay. The key to effective communication in all settings is inclusiveness of this wide range. This requires behavior flexibility from both sexes. In this, okay. Now I'm going to read to you what, and if I mispronounce some of these words, please forgive me. I'm just trying to read it as it is. What is androgyny? Okay. When many of us think of androgyny, we are reminded of the character Pat on Saturday Night Live. This gives the term unflattering asexual connotation and is more colloquially used in the word than I intend. From my point of view, androgynous people combine a variety of masculine and feminine characteristics all in one package. Okay, let's just get these. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link again because I have not learned how to pin it on top. So I got to do it every so often. Okay. Forgive me if I'm not all that tech savvy, but then again, us baby boomers are supposedly end up in a nursing home. Okay. They are not asexual, rather, they are more fully alive because they explore all aspects of themselves. Contemporary business experts such as Tom Peters and Kenneth Blanchard refer to gender flexing with the psychological term androgyny. The word derives from a combination of the Greek words andros, meaning man, and gene, meaning women, as the prefix to gynecology. Okay. Communication professors Virginia Richard, James McCloskey, and Stephen Payne define an androgynous person as one who can associate both masculine and feminine characteristics. In terms of psychology, gender, and orientation, this type of individual is able to adapt to a variety of roles by engaging in either responsive or assertive behavior depending on the situation. Just take care of that. Think of it in this way: an androgynous man might be a weightlifter, but also a social worker who helps underprivileged children, a gourmet cook, and a rose gardener. An androgynous woman can be a physicist who enjoys watching professional football, hanging wallpaper, reading maps, and doing needlepoint. And we have our guest. So I just want to remind everybody the views of those who appear on the panel are not necessarily those of the host or the channel. Any attempt to copy the material without the permission of the host or the channel is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your rights to the images, to the image. Some of the views that people may hold may be considered offensive to others. If you don't like the content, you can block the channel. And now we're going to bring in our guest. Excuse me.
Hooty hoo!
Okay, just give me a moment. Good evening.
Hi.
Here we go. I'm sorry, just give it. Okay,
I hear you.
okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Oops. Sorry. Okay, let's try this. Okay. Okay. Good evening, Kayfit. Oh, sugar.
Hello, hola.
I'm having some technical. Okay. Good evening, Kayfit.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, fine, thank you. How are you feeling today?
Much, much better. I don't know what happened, but maybe it was just rest I needed.
Okay, yeah, I actually saw your earlier video earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of work stress for me. Maybe I was having like an anxiety moment. I don't know, but I was like vomiting at work and running back and forth to the bathroom. I was getting hot flashes. I was feeling all crazy.
Okay, well, I could just imagine people had all sorts of um, assumptions like maybe you were pregnant or come down with C19 again or what have you.
Yep, those were definitely the assumptions. So I was all bold to go to YouTube to tell people it was none of those things.
Okay, it's good to hear. And I'm glad to see that you are on the panel. Now, the topic for tonight is how can we improve communication among the
Well,
sexes?
well, I'm happy to be here because I'll be honest, I don't think I've had the best communication skills in relationships. So I'll be honest to say that.
Have you
It's
given
hard
much?
to admit it, but I'll admit it here.
Okay. Have you given much thought why you think that is the case?
Yes, I'm definitely a selfish person. That has a lot to do with it, and I didn't know what I didn't know in different situations, and I think my home environment as a kid had a lot to do with it, and I brought things that I knew by nature along my journey when I became an adult and had relationships that I saw.
Hmm.
So I'll
Okay.
be transparent. I think that's exactly what it was. Is like breaking out of that and creating my own me and not that learned behavior.
Okay. Well, the fact of the matter is, many times we develop certain habits and beliefs we are not necessarily good. Now, I'm going to try to bring in another guest in. Just give me a moment. Good evening, Ramon.
Hey, good evening, Don Jose. Hey, K-Fit. Hey, Chad. What's going on, guys?
Hey, cool hair.
Ah, yeah, I also saw your video from earlier today. And, nice, nice, you celebrating your loss. Keep it up, keep it up. You're doing good.
Yeah,
Yes.
I owe this to all of you guys in Golden Goddess for sure. Thank you all.
All right, all right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a matter of being patient because I've had my hair long too. I have my hair down my shoulders and all, and I know that that takes time. It's gonna take a couple of years if you're starting almost from scratch. But you just have to keep it clean, keep it conditioned, and you really don't have to do much else. It's just that there are people that are very impatient, and that's when they start messing with the wigs, messing with the kind of like what you call a weave and and things like that, and messing with the chemicals too. I mean, that's something that I would recommend because you're really hurting yourself. You're messing up your scalp. But I'm not somebody who is knowledgeable about those things, though. But I have dated a couple of people in my life, a couple of women in my life that do have a thing for um, getting their hair straightened, and that involves treatments and chemicals and all of that. But I'm gonna stop talking about hair. I'm a man. I'm not supposed to be talking about that. So getting back to the subject, to the main subject, it's good that at least one of the ladies is joining, because this is important. It involves men and women, communications amongst one another. So being able to have both sides when it comes to the opinion is important. So hopefully another one of the ladies is going to be joining the panel, and I'm going to try and stay as neutral as possible, which is difficult for me because I take pride in being a man. But let me not keep interrupting, and so you guys can keep going with the subject.
Okay. So the topic for tonight is how to improve communications among the sexes. And okay, now we have a person called Mr. Ed. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So the topic for tonight is how, now the reason why I came up with the topic, because to be perfectly honest, there are times where we don't understand each other, and part of it has to do is the way that men expresses themselves, and which is somewhat different from the way ladies express themselves. Now, I'm not trying to be sexist in any way, shape, or form, but the reality is that we have different people who express themselves in different ways. And now we have Mr. Ed.
Oh, okay.
Hey, how y'all guys doing?
Okay.
Doing okay.
Hello.
That's
What's up with
don't
the
tell me
beautiful pictures?
I'm
that's
like,
not what you identified as, right?
I mean, like, I'll just try to find something different. Maybe the next day I'll be, I don't know, Mr. Goat.
Ah, okay, okay. Yeah. You can choose what to identify with. I mean, that's part of that whole notion that when it comes to identity, you can be whatever it is. And damn, whoever tries to tell you different, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, at the end of the day, you got it's like talking about, the women and men, how we have to communicate better. You have
Mm-hmm.
certain people that they just want to identify themselves as a car or as a loaf of bread. So if
Yeah.
people want to identify that, maybe I should go around and identify with what I am. So it is what it is.
Mhm.
A shout out to
Okay.
Xtina.
Okay. Yes. I do hope if there are any other ladies that's that's viewing this, please join the panel, because I don't want K-Fit to be the only brave female to interchange for all this men with our male testosterone.
Right.
Listen, I'm not gonna gang up on me, okay?
No,
Nah,
no,
I
never,
don't be
never.
ganging up on people.
But I
No, no, no.
appreciate y'all for letting me show my transparency and my honesty, because I'm pretty sure the relationship people that were with me would have appreciated this then.
Okay, but you know something? It's never too late to learn, and it's never too late to change. Okay? The fact that you can acknowledge that there is a problem, you're halfway home as far as trying to seek a solution. And that's the whole goal of this platform, is we talk about everyday problems and we try to find solutions. Now, do you have any other views, K-Fit, regarding how we could improve communications amongst ourselves?
I think, we should journal more. I know that sounds crazy, but I think we should journal more. I think we're so evolved in technology. We forgot the small things like writing letters to people, writing notes. And I say that to say, like, people would do things like vision boards or goal lists or wish lists, and we need to focus out on personal care about ourselves, what we're good at, what we like, what we don't like. Whether you journal or don't journal, or whether you want to remind yourself of your greatnesses, I think that we need to do that for ourselves. And then maybe that helps us with communication, because we're not lost in the source of being different things for different people, or having unrealistic expectations in relationships because you don't identify with self, because you don't know self, because you don't take time to figure out your likes and dislikes. So I think personal care, acknowledging what we like, and putting pen to paper and reminding ourselves of our greatness and our loves and our desires and needs and wants is important for us.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue sharing an article because one thing I like to do is I don't just to talk. I try to gather articles and do research, um, just to to share because anyone can get behind a laptop and talk gibberish. So I'm going to continue. According to Louise Y. Um, Edelbrock, author of Bridging the Gender Gap, current gender roles research shows that people who are adept to gender flexing are actually happier and better adjusted. And we have the presence of the one and only Morena. Good evening. How you doing tonight? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. It's time for our commercial break. So, as you can see here, each one on the panel, including Morena, have their own channels. K-Fit
I'm
has a
Morena.
channel which is called
Hey,
which is
Morena
called
Mami. Abajo.
Wine and FaceTime, and she is on Saturday nights at 8 o'clock. She also do exercise video on Instagram and sometimes on Facebook on Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock. So I'm gonna ask if you have not done so, please show a little bit of love and subscribe and check her out material. Also, the Invo Boricua has his own YouTube channel and he has a couple of videos, mainly in the areas of self-protection. So if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the Introvert Boricua. And also we have Don Armando, who happened to have his own YouTube channel, which talks about different topics. So if you're not done so, please subscribe to his channel. Morena also has her own channel. The topics tend to be very spicy at times, but they are interesting. So if you have not done so, please subscribe to Morena's channel. Also, earlier tonight, Magic Mulata has her own channel. I have had the opportunity to be on a couple of her platforms, and it's very positive. So if you've not done so, please subscribe to Magic Mulata and of course Christina. She has her platform, so please forgive the commercial break. So
Yeah.
No problem.
All right.
okay, so I'm just
Thank
going to
you for the
continue.
love.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, now I'm just going to read a couple more things, and then I'm going to ask them for feedback. Women and men who strongly identify and with fit into traditional gender stereotype roles experience more anxiety, lower self-esteem, and neurosis. Women with extreme femininity often exhibit dependency and self denial. They may feel taking the initiative and may be risk averse. Men with extreme masculinity may be arrogant. They may exploit others and even tend towards violence. Okay,
Yeah.
androgynous people tend to be more creative and flexible, less anxious, and gender flexing women may even be more nurturing than those who are highly feminine. Now, any observations regarding what I just read?
Um. Well, the part about people being arrogant, I guess it depends on personality because you have certain people who are just arrogant. That's their nature.
Hmm. Okay.
Don Jose, you mentioned extreme femininity. That one of the things that you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Uh-huh.
yeah. Go ahead. Yes. Actually, it's an article. I'm reading an article from Psychology Today.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. It's just that I have never heard of before. I'm really lately on a thing when there are certain terms that are being thrown around that we don't really hear so much, or we didn't used to hear so much in kind of like in common vocabulary. And like extreme femininity, it will be one of them. I wouldn't see it as anything bad, but it's just that I'm not sure what extreme means when it comes to femininity. I mean, I'm a little lost on that one. I can understand when they say extreme masculinity, which is basically what they want to call misogyny. I mean, they just don't want to say the word misogyny, but I strongly believe that that's what they meant. And being misogynistic gets thrown around all willy nilly also. And I don't want when I'm saying this, I don't wanna give the wrong impression or the wrong idea, and because it's not like I'm being attacked, and it has nothing to do with me feeling insecure, because that is another thing. That's another thing. When if I as a man were to question something, then I could be labeled as being insecure, because that's a favorite. That's something that I have been hearing for years. But extreme femininity, I wonder what that means. I mean, uh, I'm not so sure. What is that supposed to be? Extreme femininity. That's a new one,
Unfortunately,
relatively new. Yeah,
yeah, unfortunately, the article I read doesn't share what it means.
exactly. Because it makes it
So
questionable as to whether it is a thing or not.
you
Yeah.
know something. It might be a stab at women who tend to be more feminine. But let's get K-Fit's point of view.
I'm actually still cooking, so I missed what you read. Could you repeat some of that?
Well, it's several things, and I mean, I'm just what it is like. There's 2 points. One that has to do with men and women who identify with traditional gender stereotypes that may experience more anxiety, lower self-esteem, and neurosis. And then, okay, now mind you, I'm just reading an article. I don't necessarily agree with it, so ladies, please don't crucify me. And then the next point is that women with extreme femininity often exhibit dependency and self-denial. It could be women who are dependent on others. Okay.
I struggle with the whole femininity terminology. I think you did another stream about feminism at one point, and I was kind of like, all right, in 2022, I don't know what real feminist means. Like, the term has been so exaggerated. I don't agree with the article and data from that you just read. That's my opinion. I'm not really into all that research statistic stuff because it just reminds me of COVID, and I feel some way about that. So I don't tap in with that article. I don't. Mm-mm. I don't agree with any of that. I feel like we're all different, and the statistics and the data. I feel like it's not enough research done for that data and those statistics to be accurate. That's my opinion.
And you know what? That's perfectly fine. I mean, we can all disagree, and we could be agreeable when we disagree, and we can also learn in our disagreements. Basically, um, disagreements, if handled the right way, can be a teaching experience. So what you think on that subject?
Right. I mean, that's why we're all here. So you're gonna allow us to, state our views openly and maturely with no hate or people saying you're wrong for how you feel. So that's what I appreciate, and that's why I'm comfortable to come here and state my views and opinions.
Well,
I
okay, so
can't. All right.
okay, yeah, let's get the guys to comment. Anyone you to wish to comment?
Yeah. It's like when it comes to I guess extreme femininity or I guess extreme masculinity. I believe that we have a lot of between women and men. You have certain movements that will try to teach women to hate men, and you have certain movements that teach men to hate women or to try to belittle women. So I believe, like in this current day and time, this is why it's causing the divides for us to act. I'm saying for the sexes to actually find a common ground, because there's ignorance on both sides because of pro masculine and pro feminine movements.
Hmm. Now, I'm going to share something that happened recently.
Can I add something to Jose real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
I grew up pretty much. I'm always relating back to where I grew up. Where I grew up, I feel like that's always my foundation. Whether how I grew up was right or wrong, but I always heard niggas ain't shit, niggas ain't shit, niggas ain't shit. Excuse my French, excuse my cursing. So that was embedded in me for a very, very long time. So
Hmm.
that traveled with me. So even if you do meet a good person, it's still like in the back of your head, niggas ain't shit, because that's all you heard. Especially when you don't see fathers in the household, when you don't see a role model man in the household, you don't hear women telling you men are great, men should be worshipped, or men are the providers, or men are this. When you don't hear those encouraging things about men in life as a little girl, is not really like connecting in certain instances, and you carry those bad stigmas. For some of us, that's not everybody's story, but for me, I constantly heard that through adulthood, teenagehood, a young kid, a youth. I constantly heard that.
Okay. Well, first of all, one thing, and I made it perfectly clear here, I don't censor. Okay. Now, admittedly, everybody knows that I'm a born again Christian, but I don't censor because I operate in this faction. If I want to have the right to express myself as I see fit, I got to give others the same right. And if others wishes to use some salty language, by all means, no problem. Just don't be disrespectful. And then we're all good.
All right, all right.
So
And when it
yeah.
comes to, I wanted to ask Kfit something, but it will be too much of a personal question. So I don't know how she will take it with the last thing that she just said. But I can tell you that when I was a kid, I heard kind of like the equivalent of what Kfit just said when it came to men. When I will hear certain women say, "Todos los hombres son unos cabrones. Todos los hombres son unos cabrones." Which will be equivalent to what Kfit just said when it comes to us. I mean, like women ain't shit in many ways. It's basically the same thing. That's what it will mean. Uh, but it will. One has to think about where is it coming from? Who's saying it? I mean, is the women that are saying that always getting those results? I mean, is that what she's always attracting? Because it's you can only put certain instances, you can put the blame on the man to a certain degree, because there are guys that are jerks. Sure, I will never say that there is no such thing, but always putting the entire blame on the man, that's something that has to be talked about, because that's not necessarily it. I mean, uh, for the last several years is if not the last several decades, um, women have been shielded from accountability, and it's always the man's fault. And I have always been hearing like when the man cheats, it's the man's fault. When the woman cheats, it's the man's fault. I have been hearing rhetoric like that for a long time. That's not fair. I'm all for accountability. If the guy does wrong, okay, fine. Accountability should go to where it merits. But kind of like it being slant in which only one gender is constantly the one held accountable and the other one is spared all the time. There is too much of that, and that's what I don't agree with.
Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is, before Kevin Samuels passed away. One of the things he did talk about a great deal was accountability. Unfortunately, some women, please, ladies, I said some, so don't crucify me. Some had an
Mhm.
issue with accountability. Now, mind you, there are many women
Why
who
you
are
have to
able.
yell like that, Jose?
No, no,
Okay, you know
no, no,
what?
He
just talk.
said, "Not all women." Like, okay, we know. Calm down.
Yeah, he has to yell it. No, it's just that he has to yell it out because there are certain ladies out there that have a bit of selective hearing. They only hear what is what it suits them, what is convenient, what they want. So sometimes you have to yell it out a little bit. I'm not trying to do that, but
That was
I'll
funny
be,
just now, though. I never
yeah.
heard him yell like that.
No, no, but
Well,
okay, but you don't have to be overly apologetic on that. Just talk your shit.
I okay, well, you know what? At one committee meeting, when I spoke about the topic on toxic femininity, the
Hmm.
ladies sound like they wanted to crucify me, and it's like, no, 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 no. I'm not saying all women are like that. There's a lot of women who are not toxic, but it's like when they hear the words toxic femininity, their antennas goes up, and it's like, let's crucify him, let's crucify him. So it's like, no, but
Hmm.
no, but the fact of the matter is this: one thing we have to understand that we communicate differently, okay? And we communicate in different ways. So sometimes what we need to do is we need to like ask the person, do they understand um, what's being said? Now, one of the problem is, like for example, whenever someone puts a comment in the chat, depending on what's being typed, there's different interpretations. Now, what's your guys' thoughts on that subject?
Yeah, I actually agree with that because a lot of people will have their own interpretation on what a person says, whether it be an emotional response, an emotional interpretation, or a mental interpretation.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Different people can have different ideas as to what a term can be because that's why it makes it a term. There are certain terms that are being of common use, but if you ask different people what the term means, you might get different answers depending on who you ask. I mean, it's like a certain term that I have been hearing that I actually want to do a bit of a live stream on that. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing it either later tonight or tomorrow because this is something that I also need the ladies to participate in, and I don't know who is actually gonna want to come up later on and call up and join a panel because this is something that I do want to ask, but I don't want to slide in because this is it's a different subject, but it does have to do with terms, certain terms that are being of popular use right now, but they were not common, let's say, just 2 years ago or 3 years ago. They weren't of common use, but they seem to be more common now, or at least on social media platforms and things like that, not necessarily in real life, but on these type of spaces like the ones that we are in right now.
I
Hmm.
agree with that, Ramon, because to be honest and transparent again, like I'm still trying to wrap my brain around what the hell pronoun really means. And I just gave up because I'm like, screw it, shoot, like whatever. I don't need a pronoun, so I don't really need to understand it that much. I just know it's something I need to read a book on or take a class on, say I did it, respect the person I engage with wherever I meet the person, and that's that. So I know a few of the terms and I use it if I need to. But again, that's something new that I just heard about that I really don't understand, but I have to understand at some point because this is the thing now, and you got to be respectful and you got to be sensitive and all that other stuff. But for the most part, I agree with a lot of the things that you and Don was saying.
Yeah, you were referring about the the alphabet, the letters. That what you're
Yep.
talking about?
I don't want to get creamed or nothing, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that you don't want to get canceled, and I feel for you. I feel for you. But fortunately, where I'm at, that's not really much of a thing. I don't have to be minding pronouns. I mean, I call people by
Yeah,
their
I
name.
mean,
I call them a he or a she as necessary, and that's that. I don't, I don't have to do additional pronouns. The pronoun game, that pronoun game, I wouldn't be able to do it. I
And
couldn't
that's
do it.
relevant to this conversation because that's actually a part of the sexes. So we're leaving that out if we're not even talking about that.
Yes, yes, it has to do with communication between the sexes. The thing is that we're living in a time where certain segment of the population sees uh, gender, which is what used to be just called sex, as a social construct, which is the stupidest thing that they can come up with. I mean, that only shows that there are certain people that have nothing better to do because
yeah,
gender
I
is
mean, I agree with that.
biology. What's up?
I
Be
actually agree
careful,
with
y'all
that.
banning us now. Shh.
Mm.
That you don't agree with that? What was that?
I said I actually agree with that because if you see with all these pronouns and then all this I don't even know what to call it anymore. It was like when
No.
I was growing up, right? It was like,
Mhm.
okay, you're a man, a woman, and then when it was like when it came to your sexuality, you was this, and that, right?
Mhm.
Now, since I guess ever since the alphabet community got their rights and everything like that, I kid you not, I saw a whole case. I saw like a whole diagram of what these supposed flags means. And it was like and the thing is though, it's confusing. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. No shade to the alphabet community. But
Yeah.
it's mad confusing. Like
That's the point. That's the intent, causing confusion.
Agreed, it is. You got to know
Uh,
all the terms and what it means, and it's like a whole class. It's a whole study
Yeah.
session.
and and, 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 and,
um,
and and then on top of
it's
it, the flags is different. It's like you thinking that one is actually a European flag, but then it turns out it's actually not. So it's all
Yeah.
confusing.
There is that more
You can
recent
lose your
flag.
job behind this stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
I
um,
mean,
well,
uh-huh.
okay. I see. I work in social services. Okay, so
Mhm.
there's a person that does interviews on the telephone, and that kid you not, he could be talking to a man, and then he'll be saying, which pronoun you want me to use, um, he, she, his, her. I mean, it's like you see, you're asking a man which pronouns to use.
Yeah. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I
I
don't know if
mean,
I could do it. I feel for you. I feel for you that you have to be
I mean,
minding that on top of the job, that the work that you have to do. You also have to worry about the damn pronouns.
I got a
and
certificate that said I took a class on knowing what the pronouns was and all the classifications and rules and everything from work.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it
I mean,
definitely ties in with the subject. Yes.
just think if someone was to ask me where the restaurant is, technically, according to agency policy, I gotta say the men's room is one. It's over there. The female restaurant is over there, and the gender neutral bathroom is over there. I kid thee not.
Hmm.
So it's like, let's say, Ramon, you ask me where's the men's room is, where's the bathroom. So technically, I'm supposed to say to you, Ramon, the men's room is over here, the female bathroom is over there, and the gender neutral bathroom is over there. Do you know how
Yeah.
silly and stupid it sounds?
Yeah. Yeah. It's problematic. It's just complicating things. I mean, life is already somewhat kind of complicated, and we are adding the whole gender pronoun game. That's a game, and it's done by people that don't have anything better to do. That they're not living in the real world. I mean,
I mean,
I'm sorry, guys, but I couldn't live up there. I know you, all three of you panelists, are in. Well, no, my bad, Armando. I don't think you're in New York, but you, Jose, and Kay, that you are in New York City and you have to deal with that. I don't know how it is where you are at, Armando, but
I
I feel
mean,
for you guys.
in my job, well, it's neither I get it's not really a professional settings because I work like in the food industry, so nobody really cares about that. You get what I'm trying to say? You just work and that's it because there ain't really no pronouns or whatever the case may be. People just go there to work and that's it. And I work with mostly Latinos and
Mhm.
African Americans at my job. So
Mm.
that so that so I'm saying in my job, which is not really like a business setting, quote unquote, nobody really cares about that because it's like, oh, you're this, there, ain't they, or something like that. Well, a lot of people will be looking at you like, what are you talking about? But I can't
Mhm.
really say for other jobs out here in Philadelphia or in the state of Pennsylvania on what their rules and regulations are. Because in corporate America, and between different states, rules and
Mhm.
regulations are different. So I can't really talk on that because I'm not really in the professional setting yet.
Right,
Okay.
right. Well,
Well, yeah. Well, in the case of K Fit and myself, um, we're municipal employees, so we got to deal with all this jargon and what have you, and we have to be careful to use the jargon in the proper way and in the proper context. And also, we're
mm,
both union reps. So that means we have to be extremely mindful what we say to our members because if we say something inappropriate, next thing you know, they're calling the office to complain. Oh, okay, if it say something inappropriate or Negron say something inappropriate, and then we get a phone call from the organizer, someone from the main office. It's like, what happened? Now, KP, am I right or am I wrong?
You are 100% right. It's a scary situation. You always got to inform people and be on your P's and Q's and watch what you're doing and, you know, watch your surroundings. People are watching you as a rep, so it's a lot of work to do. Plus, you got to follow the rules yourself on the job. You're not exempt because you're a rep from the rules. You still have to abide to the rules too. Attendance, all that other stuff. So, it's a lot, and sometimes these people try to befriend you and get stuff out of you and manipulate you and stuff like that for their benefits. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
yeah,
And in
yeah,
my case, not only am I a union rep, I happen to be a welfare fund trustee.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So I guess there is more pressure
so
on
it,
you, and you have to set more of an example and all.
yeah,
Yep. People always looking
hmm
like, oh, is she in the gym working out for 2 hours straight? Oh, it must be because she's a union rep.
Uh-huh.
yes,
My bad, my
and
bad.
have
It's
and
just
have
Mhm.
yeah, and heaven forbid if they found out that you're going away to a conference to represent the union. Oh, you get to go on free trips and what have you. First of all, it's not a vacation. We're going there to represent our local. Okay, so it's really a business trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's part of the
So
job. Hmm.
yeah, but I think one thing that would help to improve communication among ourselves is we don't have any prejudgments and we can relate to the people where they're at. Okay, like for us. Okay, I mean, we're all fairly intelligent. Most of us are college educated, or at least have a certain number of education. We have a certain number of intelligence, so we can communicate more freely because we understand each other, and and we're not easily or offended. However, when it comes to the mentally and intellectually challenge, or the mix, as I like to call it, or the soul taps, as Denise wants to call them, we got to be mindful that we got to dumb it down for them so they can understand. And even when we try to dumb it down, they don't understand us at all.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
Very true. It's a tricky game though, because you can't really be friends with people at work. Really, that's what it really ends up being, because some people take it for granted, or some people try to think you're their like lucky charm or something to get them out of all of their situations, ships, or whatever the case is. So it's a lot, but it's educational. It's definitely something to have value to me. It's something I do because I felt I was taken advantage of at the workplace, and no one came to my rescue with what I was going through, whether it was ethical, professional, morally right or wrong. So it was a good thing for me to do, and I enjoy doing it. Sometimes it's a lot. You don't want to do it at all. Like, forget it. I don't care. It's overwhelming, but it definitely has its benefits for me.
mhm. Yeah. To be perfectly honest, to be a union rep, you want to have to approach it in the sense that you have to be a people person, and you have to deal with all types of people.
For
Yeah.
sure, because sometimes I'm moody and I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to nobody today. I don't care. I don't want no contact. I want to just come to work and that's it. So you got to put your feelings aside and put on the face and wear the cape, so to say. Not literally,
Yeah.
but you do it for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Now I'm gonna ask if there's any ladies that's watching this stream, please join the panel, because this whole point is to improve our communication skills, and we will. Okay, and the men here would appreciate the ladies' point of view. Don't worry, we're not going to get up on you. We're not going to harm you or anything like that. We just want to get your input.
Yeah, come on up. Don't be shy.
Hmm.
I'm actually
Yeah.
gonna step away, guys. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna try to come back. I'm feeling better, so I definitely want to eat. This is gonna be my first meal outside of salad. So I'm gonna try to come
Mhm.
back.
Okay.
All
Well,
right. Okay.
Thank
Bon
you.
take
appetit.
care.
All right, bye bye.
Bye. So, um, now in my case, you see, where I work in my unit, I'm the only male amongst like about maybe 9 or 10 females. So, you know, it's like I have to be ever mindful of what I say.
I can,
And
right, I can only imagine. You can so easily get in trouble there. I mean, the odds are against you on that one.
okay, but one thing that I know what to do, I'm blessed with the
Hmm.
ability to be mindful of what you say, what I say. Now, sometimes I'm going to be human, and there'll be times when I might overreact, or I
Yeah.
might misinterpret something. Um, but for the most part, I know how to mind my p's and q's.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, guys, when you two work, if it's it mostly male, or is it's about the same as whether it be male and female in your workplaces?
Okay. Really quick. What I work at is actually fairly balanced in my department where I'm at. Because there are a couple of different departments. There's one department I can't get too much into that. Because there is an assembly and packaging area, and there is another area that where the shop is, and that area that's like almost entirely men. But in the other department, there is the administration part, and there is the engineering office, and all of those parts. It's actually fairly balanced when it comes to gender, and also in my department, it's fairly balanced. When it comes to gender and the people that I work with, all of them are kind of like either around in my age group or older, and some of these women they're already grandmas, somebody's grandmas, and they're not some super young and cute or really anything like that. So there are no distractions, and no, I mean it's not an issue. It's not an issue. And culturally, these ladies that I work with, I'm comfortable talking to them because they not only they are older, but they are also coming from cultures where just a man saying something to them doesn't necessarily automatically mean some type of harassment, and they take it in stride. They don't, it's not an issue for them. I mean, because some of them are from another country, so they don't mind a man saying something to them that has to do with work or something extremely casual that doesn't mean anything. So I'm not really having that problem. Mhm.
Okay. Don Armando, where you work, what is it like? Is it mixed or is it mostly male or mostly female?
Armando,
Okay. Maybe he stepped away for a moment.
yeah, yeah, maybe he did. So,
Oh, I'm here. I was saying that like my job, right? Um, it's mixed. You got female and male. But the thing is, though, some of the individuals in my job they actually partake in immature talk or whatever the case may be,
mm,
and in my own
Hmm.
workplace, which I'm not going to really reveal where I work at.
mhm.
Most of the people
No.
are married and everything like that, and then some people, I guess, they're unhappy with their unions or whatever. They actually go and they sleep with their coworkers in the job,
Oh
and this is
boy.
what I've seen. So therefore, I don't really
Okay.
partake in none of that. And if anybody even try to come with me with that, everybody knows that I'm married. You're not gonna touch me. That's it.
Okay. I just want to acknowledge that the 18th letter is here with us. And also, we have the presence of Fulana La Cubana. It's good to see you. A long time no see. I hope you're doing well tonight.
Hey, Fulana, what's up? ¿Qué pasó?
Okay. So, Rakeem, the topic for tonight is how to improve communications among the sexes. And so, what are your thoughts on the topic?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to say shout out to everybody on the panel. Shout out to you, Jose. Shout out to my boy Ramon. And shout out to Don Armando.
What's up,
Um,
Rakim?
what's
So
up? What's up? What's up, my boy Ramon?
Hey.
First and foremost, I don't know if it'll be a stretch to say I don't think it's a situation where you need to improve communication. I think when a lot of people miscommunicate certain things depending on between the genders, it's because they want to miscommunicate certain things. To clarify what Don was saying, I remember working at Sam's Club back in the day, and I saw the shift in management. It went from being ran by majority male managers to being ran by majority female managers, and they was quick to flex their power. They was quick to flex their power. Whatever day that wasn't going right for them, whatever situations that wasn't going right for them personally, they was quick to, pull their manager's card on majority of people just because they was having a bad day. And I think that it's just it's a power. It's power, man. Like, because when you look at today's day and age, if you wanted to say men might have abused, power in high positions back in the day, all right, I give you that. But in these days, that's the pot calling the kettle black, because you have a lot of women that are in positions of power today that abuse their authority, especially when it comes to men. To back up what Don was saying, you have women who will have husbands at home that was in positions of authority, looking to deal with younger guys that worked at the job. I've seen it myself. I've actually seen situations, of course, managers flirting and different things like that. And so I don't think it's like, it depends on the dynamic between both genders. I don't think it's a lot of miscommunication. I think a lot of people know exactly what they're doing when they do it. I think sometimes they'll say miscommunication to project or to deflect what they're actually doing, but it's not that difficult to communicate with people. I can communicate with anybody just like I'm speaking to you right now. If I tell you that I feel a certain way, if you like us as adults, we know the difference between right and wrong. We know certain things that we shouldn't do. We know our boundaries that we shouldn't cross, and we know things that will trigger a person that you shouldn't do. So I highly doubt that it's a thing about miscommunication, unless you're dealing with somebody that just emotionally shuts down and don't know how to communicate their emotions. But at some point in time, especially somebody within their mid-20s to 30s and 40s, we pretty much know how to communicate, because we got to do it every day for our livelihood. So
Yeah. Actually, Fulana actually agrees with you, it appears.
Actually, something that I want to ask Fulana, if she's listening, in the office that you're at, you said that you are in management, but who's the person like in charge of the office? Is it man, woman? This is something that I have already talked about, but something that I have observed in a couple of work environments that I have been in, that also involves office, being in an office. Something that I have noticed. There was one job that I had that did involve, it was more industrial. It had to do with assembly of devices and things like that. Before that, I was working in an insurance company, and something that I did realize, I did observe, is that when you have in a department in which you have several women and they're working under a woman, there are tensions. There seem to be tensions. There will be, there will kind of like argue here and there, or they will have certain differences that people will hear about, and they will be having a problem. And something that I observed, because I have been in those work environments where I will have a female boss, and I'll let it slide. I'll let it roll down my back. I wouldn't have a problem with it. Just will focus on what I will have to do, and I wouldn't take anything personal and all of that. But there will be instances that same manager, that same lead person in the department, she will be having problems with the female co-workers that were working under her because they didn't like her. And that I saw that in more than one instance of a work environment. And then when that person was moved from that position, and they will have a man filling in that position, all of the complaining and all of the beefing and all of the static, that will stop. That's something that I have observed. Like, it seems that certain women in Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Fulana. Something that I have observed is that women tend to have a problem when they're working under a woman. That's something I find kind of interesting because I have seen it in more than one instance, in more than one work environment. And right now, today, in the job that I have now, it used to have like a female lead person and the other women that will be working in that department that will be having a problem all the time. They will be having problems, arguing, and they will butt heads. But now that that department is predominantly male, that doesn't happen. We don't have that problem. Sorry, but that's what I have seen. Mhm.
Well, you see, in the area of social services, it's mostly women. So,
Mhm.
it could, so depending on how the situation, it could either go well or it could be problematic. And again, I just want to make it clear, that sometimes it could be a clash of styles. And I see Falon said men can just be as catty as women in the office environment. I agree. I
Well,
agree.
that can be, that can happen. I'm just relating to what I have witnessed. The last time that I worked in an office environment, that was back in Puerto Rico, and that I saw that difference. I saw that difference. I mean, there was departments where there will be a lead person in the department who will be a man, and the woman working under him will fine with it. But there will be another department where the lead person will be a woman, and the woman that were working under her will have a problem. Now, it does. I'm not saying that that's how it was all the time, but that's something that I have observed on more than one occasion. Later on a couple of other jobs that I had when I moved to the mainland United States, I will see the same thing, kind of like the same thing, uh, and uh, and it's kind of like easy to deal with in the job that I have now, and yeah, the lead person is a man, and that's there's somebody that we can work together, and there are women in that department, but there are only like a couple of them now, and not a problem. Everybody communicates, and things get along just fine. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Mhm. I just want to explain to everybody the reason why. You see, there is a function in YouTube when you do these streams where only subscribers can enter a comment in the chat. And the reason why I did that is to try to put a control regarding the trolls who come in to enter negative comments. So if you're going to troll my channel, you're going to have to subscribe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because there are people that just troll to get attention, and all I can say is don't feed the trolls attention. Don't do it. I mean, put them on timeout or
Yeah.
whatever. But if somebody wants to get disrespectful with it, then they just need to be banned. I mean, disagreeing, that's
Okay.
one thing. It's- but getting
Yeah.
disrespectful is something else. Yeah.
Now I'm going to share something with that and I was asked to keep a secret for a while. Actually, Hazel gave me some receipts. There was a person named Hybrid Vigor who got upset with me because I was going to share the stream regarding the topic regarding femininity, and he was deeply upset about it
What will he be upset about?
because
Because,
he has a problem with strong independent women. So any woman he disagrees with, he automatically calls them either a feminist or a
hmm.
lesbian.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I wouldn't say anything if he was just calling them a feminist. To be perfectly honest, I wouldn't say anything, but calling them a lesbian, that's an ad hominem attack. I mean, when you have to resort to that, you lose the argument. Whatever argument that you think you had, you lose it right then and there. I
And
mean,
not only that, he's been harassing various female females on YouTube. And in
okay.
fact, there have been accusations of, and again, it's accusations of sexual harassment.
Hmm. Ah, well,
So,
well, if he wants to get his channel taken down, let him keep it up.
in fact, all his content is reaction
Hmm.
videos, and I actually seen some of my videos in his file.
Yeah.
Okay, so so he's no longer, so he's not walking here on this platform, and also his compatriot Malata Vanguard. So I'm gonna ask my moderators if they do see these two individuals in the chat, please block them, because I'm trying to
Hmm.
provide a safe environment for everyone to speak, particularly the ladies, because just because a lady has an opinion doesn't make her necessarily a feminist. In fact, if anything, it just makes her a strong female.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, Joaquin, you have anything else you wish to share on the topic?
Yeah, yeah, I'll share a few more things. Yeah, quite frankly, like I just said before, it's not really about miscommunication because when men are dealing with the men, especially in the work field, if a man don't like a certain man or he feels like he can't get along with that person, more than likely he'll keep his distance. He'll keep things short and brief. If he feel like he's being sabotaged, he'll go to the higher ups, and if you feel like that can't work, he'll just start looking for another job. Period,
Yeah,
point blank. Because you know somebody's trying to sabotage you, or somebody got some type of gripes against you, and you know if you don't like that person. So a lot of men can deal with that directly. What I think we have is not just a miscommunication between genders. You have just miscommunication. I wouldn't say miscommunication, just people in general that may miscommunicate based off of the fact on how they feel, what's going on in their personal lives. You have a lot of people that hate working their particular job and they just like to complain about it, or they like to try to take out their issues on other people to make themselves feel better about where they are in life. I see it all the time, man. I work in the truck driving industry. You have a lot of people that's making well over $100,000 that's still upset, that still feel entitled to whatever, that cry, complain, even though we're an industry that's still making money, even after majority of business industries took a major hit during uh, C-19. That was a quick save right there. But so you just have people that they will complain about things like this. Oh, they keep having me drag around this empty for to to this city and to that city, and I'm sick of, they don't even have any freight. Man, I don't give a damn if you want me to drag around the empty from here to Northern California. As long as you paying me,
Mhm.
I don't care. Just pay me my money and we good. But people just find things to complain about, and that'll tell you that it's something that's going on personal. Because if I'm here getting the money that I'm supposed to be getting, I could care
Mhm.
less. But it's the fact that you got something going on at the household with your old lady, or I don't know, maybe with your kids, or something's going on, and people project that into their work environment, and that's where the miscommunication comes in. Because when you call people out on certain things, then they hide behind, oh well, maybe we're miscommunicating, to hide the fact that no, you just upset with whatever you got going on, and you trying to project that crap onto me, and I ain't the one for it. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, well, in the beginning of the C-19 health crisis, because it changed, it was a pandemic, then now it's an endemic. Now I don't even know what to call it now. But in either case, um, okay, we were we had to do different things, and we had to adapt, which meant that we had to, for a time, work remotely using laptops to do our work. It's something strange. Some people got upset.
Mhm.
And and as a union rep, I gotta hear people gripe. And when I try to tell people, I mean, okay, we're doing something different. At least we're not getting laid off. We're not getting furloughed. We are earning our paychecks. Which, when everything is said and done, that's the important thing, that we earn our paychecks so we can feed ourselves and feed our families. Okay. Do you
Yes.
know how many municipal employees in this country that got laid off because of this C-19 health crisis? I mean, and the fact of the matter is, the city wanted to lay off over 20,000 municipal employees, and we were able to prevent all this. So we're very fortunate, even though, we're not working in the most ideal environment. The fact of the matter is, we still got our jobs. We're still serving the community, and we're getting paid.
Mm. Right.
Okay.
No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing because I have seen and I have been through it. I've been through it myself, in instances in which, because of something that was out of my control, I could end up out of a job. It happened to me, and that was because of a disaster, something that had to do with a generator that spilled diesel in the building, and they had to close off the building, and that was going to take a while before they will solve that problem, and I ended up getting furloughed myself, so I had to go on and look for something else. Yeah, yeah, I know the
Yeah.
feeling.
But getting back to the original topic, what will help if we are
Hmm.
mindful of the differences and be mindful of what we say and in what context. Because I mean, I can say something, and to my perception, it might be perfectly acceptable. To another person, it may not receive as acceptable. I mean, so that's something we all have to bear in mind, and some of us struggle with it, because it's like, first of all, because the gender roles are changing. What's considered
Hmm.
acceptable 20 years ago is not acceptable now, and that has to do with a deeper awareness in regards to some of the things that women went through. And then when you take into account the issues with, you know, you know, the agenda regarding the alphabet community and all this gender fluency, so to speak, it could be a little of bewildering.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you cannot. I mean, nowadays, you cannot say to a female coworker, "You look beautiful" or "You look nice." You have to phrase it like, "Oh, you're very becoming in that attire," or "You wear that color very well."
Uh,
no, it's best just not to say anything. I would just
yes,
say that.
yes,
It's best
that's
not to
what I
say
will say.
anything.
That's what I will say. But the less, the better. I mean, because and
And
the thing is that that's kind of like working against the ladies, because it can be harmless to give a compliment, but I mean, if women are gonna complain that the men are not talking to them and not saying anything to them, hey, they have to give the credit to their feminist sisters. I mean, they're the ones that wanted that. Men can't say anything because anything is harassment. So we're keeping
Okay,
our mouths
well,
shut. Mhm.
but let's keep it clear. We're talking about some forms of feminism, not feminism in its original content.
Mhm.
But here's the thing, Jose. Feminism in its original content is so far removed from. It's really, here's the thing. It's not about feminism or anything like that, man. It's about power. It's about
Mhm.
power, and not just with gender. Everybody is so hypersensitive these days. You can't say anything about nobody because everyone is very hypersensitive. You got comedians getting rushed on stage. You got people like you can't say you can't say nothing. And this is not the era that I grew up in, man. But people, everybody is looking for a reason to feel like they've been attacked, so they can justify, trying to say, "Oh, you can't say this. Oh, you can't say that." I respect anybody what anybody has to say because I got things that I would say in response. And if somebody hit hard, you just hit harder. And but in a lot of the cases, man, it's just like we're living in an era where people are very soft, if that's the best way I could say it.
Mhm.
Is people are very soft. People can't communicate like adults anymore. Life is just Skittles and gummy bears, and everybody should just be able to try to find a way to walk on eggshells, and do cartwheels on hot coals, just not to offend people. And it's gotten out of it's gotten out of control because you can have some people that say offensive things and it be cool on one end of the spectrum. Then if another person comes with something offensive to say, now all of a sudden everyone's screaming bloody murder. So I think that's where the miscommunication thing comes into play. And as far as the genders go, yes, we have to make sure it's not feminist within dealing with communication with women, but we got to make sure that it's not a lot of misandrous as well. And if you don't know the definition of misandry, it's pretty much the opposite of feminism because you know a lot of people are you have a lot of people that just want power and they want to be able to wield it with any way that they feel, especially if they're working in a work environment. Oh, I feel like my husband pissed me off today. Well, guess what? I hate all men. And things that may have not been your fault on that project that I told you to do yesterday, well, it's your fault today, and you may get written up for it. So you have to be very careful with things like this because people are only
Mhm.
going to do what they can get away with. So
But I think the key, okay, if we're going to change that narrative, okay, we're going to have to, those of us who have children now, what we need to do is we need to instill on our children um, healthy attitudes regarding both male and
yeah,
female.
that's for people that really care about their children. You got a lot of people out here that got children that don't care about them, so they're not instilling anything. they're leaving television and school to raise them, which is why a lot of people are indoctrinated in this mindset that they're indoctrinated in right now.
I agree, but realistically speaking, I mean that's the only way that I see that we can address this topic because unfortunately, once an individual gets to be on a certain age, I mean, unless the person is highly motivated to change, that person's not going to change at all. So that's why I
Yeah.
say the key is going to be to educate the children, educate the future generations. Because once you get, I mean, particularly if you get to be my age, it's almost impossible to change. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, that can be a thing. That can be a thing.
Yeah.
I'm starting to understand that whole thing about one getting set in one's ways. I'm starting to understand that as I get older.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because look,
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Jose.
Because look, in my case, I'm going to be 60 in October, so I know that I'm going to have to like really struggle to change some ways because as you get older, you crave routines more often. So therefore, when you hear new concepts and new philosophies, it's extremely difficult for people of my age range, to process it. And sometimes we really do have difficulty processing, and sometimes people are not very patient.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, like what Ramon was saying, I definitely agree. Um, Actually, I started realizing that a few years ago. People are who they are in this world. So, however you adapt to things, however you were brought up, it's people just stick to that. Because a lot of people, if they want to change, you will go through the efforts to try to change yourself. It's you have people that are understanding, and it's people that just don't want to understand anything because understanding certain things or trying to be open minded about certain things is an inconvenience for them. And it's kind of they want to make the world spin around their perspective on things. So that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, you have certain people that just are who they are. They don't want to be open minded. They don't want to communicate a certain way out of out of their realm of communication. And you have people that's just comfortable being ignorant. You have people
Yeah,
that's just comfortable being stuck in a certain way, even if that way is archaic or even if it's a lot of things that they don't understand. It's people just like that. So
Yeah. I mean, there's certain people. So, like to piggyback to what you're saying, I'm not gonna go around and say I'm the smartest guy in the room, but I know that certain people they're stuck in their ways, and that's why we have certain problems in this world. I'm not saying that it's good is bad or good, but certain people, I mean, in these United States, if people went up and they opened like I guess new philosophies or whatever the case may be, I guess we could advance as a society. I'm not sure, but you have certain people that that I don't know what their goal is or whatever, but they think that the old ways was better, and now that we living in this society, it's the old ways versus the new ways, and certain people think that the old ways on how people got rich or how certain people did certain things, they'd be like, okay, this is American or whatever the case may be. Whether albeit where there will be racism or old school religion, I could say. I don't know how certain people view it. So they think like, oh, this is what made America great. But now when somebody tries to say something new, which is not to how they grew up or something like that, now you're the enemy. Now you got a problem. Now you're a traitor and all this other stuff. When the fact is that you cannot go with that same mindset if you're gonna go travel overseas because at the end of the day, the person overseas is not gonna understand your mindset.
hmm
So
Yeah,
that's
there
all
is
I
a
got to say
lately.
about that.
Oh, my bad, my bad. Yeah, there is all that talk lately about kind of like traveling and going overseas when it comes to dating. There is there is a lot of talk lately about that. Now let's understand that that's not necessarily a new thing. It's just that in these spaces, in these platforms, that is being kind of like a hot subject now, but it's not a new thing. I mean, there have been a
Mhm.
certain demographic that has already been doing that for a long time, and but there is a lot of the lately a lot of the talk about going somewhere and meeting with someone else, getting a passport, that kind of talk. But there have been certain guys that have already been doing that, or maybe there are people that are in the military that are already, because of their job, because of what they do, they are already traveling, they're already visiting other places and meeting people in other places. So they already kind of have an inside track to it. They're already kind of like at an advantage when it comes to that. But there are I kind of laugh at certain times when they're talking about that. Oh, we need to get our passports. We're gonna get our passports so we can get a woman somewhere else. I mean, when they say they're gonna get their passports, that's already telling us two things. One, that they don't actually have a passport to begin with. The second thing is that because they don't have a passport, they don't know what it is to travel. They don't know anything about the women in these other places, or they just have heard things and maybe they have read some things, but they don't have that experience though. So they for the most part, a lot of the time they just don't know what the hell they're talking about. I laugh at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, apparently Jose got disconnected from his own stream, it seems. So that's kind of how I look at it. So you guys, you want to chime in on that?
I mean, if you actually look at it, right? I was You have to look at the person and say, "Oh yeah, I need to get a passport," because it could be either two things, right? Either
Mm.
one, that person wants to explore because he or she doesn't like the regular norms actually that they're actually around with, whether it be ignorant or not laid back or whatever the case may be. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
another norm
Mm-hmm.
that is like, okay, I want to go so I could expand my knowledge. Because certain people, they're like, okay, yeah, I learned all this and everything like that, but yet they don't know how to use it if they're in their surroundings. Like for example, let's say if a person learns Mandarin, right?
Mm.
But yet when they learn Mandarin, like in university and everything like that, they cannot really talk to anybody, like maybe in their local community, about who actually speak Mandarin, because there might not be a greater Chinese presence on where they live at. So
Yeah.
they'll either have to go to China or Taiwan in order to
Right.
see what it is to live like the people in Asia. I meant to say, because
Mm-hmm.
that's why certain people like to go overseas. Like for example, I have a friend that he speaks perfect Spanish because he actually learned Spanish in university and everything like that. So I don't know if he's been to Latin America or not, but I'll actually ask him. But I know that he would like to go to Latin America because he actually has a great respect for the culture.
Mm.
Mhm.
No, if he's going down there, if he's going to Latin America for the right reasons, because he wants to expand his vision and his experience, and he wants to see something else, hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But if they learn a little bit of Spanish just so they can get to say Colombia or the DR, because those are the two main countries that are they're always being brought up certain guys that want to travel, but they're only thinking about the women, and that they might not be doing it for the right reasons. If they were to travel to other parts of to other place, somewhere in the somewhere in the world, and they have a decent understanding of the language, and they're going there because they want to learn about the culture. They want to learn something new, something different, because traveling is a good thing. You guys know that traveling is an enriching experience. It gives you new experiences. It gives you something to talk about. It gives you a different perspective on things, on life, on how other people live and all. So definitely, everybody should be doing that. Everybody. I mean, everybody should have the passport already. And but it's just that it kind of it's amusing. I find it amusing when there are these guys that are always talking about that they're about to get the passports, and they don't do it. They haven't done it. They're always talking about we're gonna get the passports. We're gonna get the passports. So we travel, and we're going to Colombia. We're going to the DR. It's always Colombia, the DR, and and we know what they mean. We already know what they mean with that.
Like
Right?
I knew an Italian American guy that owned his own pizza shop like near a gas station, right? So me and him, we always used to talk about Dominican Republic all the time because he used to live there. So I asked him, okay, why did you go to the Dominican Republic and everything like that? I was curious. He was like, well, I was young and I liked women. So he actually lived in Dominican Republic for a few years.
Okay.
So he was telling me about like at the time, which was I guess the 1980s, where he actually went. He was I guess he was working in the capital or whatever the case may be, had a residence. He said that he loved it in Dominican Republic, but he was like the way that I guess Dominican Republic back in the day and now has changed and is not really to his liking because I guess because of the materialism or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
So that's what it's talking about. And I actually agree because when I was young, right? You know, whether I lived in the Dominican Republic or went there to visit relatives, people who were, I guess in their I guess who were poor or whatever the case may be, they always had like a certain respect. You get what I'm trying to say? And the certain respect that they had amongst each other and such, like they were willing to help and everything like that. I may be wrong. They might be like, okay, they might try to say one up each other now, but it was rarely the case when I was growing up. Now I could say that I guess my generation and everybody younger, they're actually on, you got to do this. You're not better if you got like if you don't have this type of rope, if you don't have this type of codes or something like that. And I'm like, and then when you see certain people get angry and they actually harm each other just because of money and everything like that, I'm like, I don't really think it's right. And certain people, I guess it's because of ignorance or what they show on TV. I see certain kids, they want to actually become like the next Pablo Escobar or something like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
That usually tends to happen. See, it's one thing, right? Here in the United States, when you're talking about poverty versus in a lot of countries outside of the United States, is more family orientated outside of the United States because you'll have an area where if it's impoverished, everyone's looking out for each other versus in the United States where you got an area it's impoverished and you growing up right next to a wealthy district. Like I can say like when, in certain areas where I'm from, the ghetto is right, like you can see the wealth within, a mile and a half away. And the way things are advertised in the United States, it subconsciously put a mindset into people that you are nothing if you don't have any money. So, of course, that affects people's self-esteem, and it depends, if people are coming from a economically disenfranchised background, and on top of that, dealing with dysfunctional relatives, if it's drugs or different things like that. You have people that have low self-esteem, and they only way they feel better about themselves is having something to value. So you have people that are willing to, rob, steal, or take. Like when I was growing up, of course, Jordans and starter jackets for kids, because having that meant you had something to value, especially when you were, everybody remember those Air Jordan commercials as a kid,
Yeah.
you know,
You know what's funny? I'm not gonna lie about this. I'm 39 years old. I never owned a pair of Jordans.
oh, I have, yeah,
Okay.
I have when, since I was a teenager, I was always not just a big Michael Jordan fan, but I love the way that the shoes look. There's been a lot of kids I know that's been robbed for theirs. Of course, myself too. I was robbed for my starter jacket at
I
a young
mean, yeah.
age,
I
and
mean, yeah. I can understand that part.
it's a sense of having something when you don't have anything. So
Mm.
whether whether, because I know some people may not understand that, especially if you come from areas where it's poverty. Because if you come from areas where it's poverty outside the United States, you can't really understand it, because the poverty can be very dire in certain parts outside the United States. But people that's living here, especially in the ghettos here, there's been so much that has been designed to attack their self-esteem, that they don't feel like they're worth anything unless they have something to value, which you still see today. And I'm not ashamed to say, at one point I thought like that, because as a child you don't know better, because in the United States people won't even pay attention to you unless you got some type of money. So and that's the way that the country is designed. That's the way that it's set up. You're not going to have people that's just
Okay.
living next to wealth that's comfortable being poor, because they're always going to see things that they feel like they can elevate their value in society.
At this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to wrap this up. I'm
Yeah, I'm about to
sorry that
leave out as well.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry that not too many of the ladies decided to join the panel. I mean, but when everything is said and done, it's their choice. Hopefully, they'll catch it on the playback. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take closing statements. We're going to see if we can have a backstage. It's just that it's just that having technical difficulties. So what we can do is
Yeah.
either have a backstage, or we'll just continue um, in the group chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take closing remarks, starting with the introvert Rika. Your final statements.
Yes, yes, Jose. I appreciate you letting me be on your panel. It would have been nice. It would have been nice that the panel would have been more balanced by having the ladies and all. But at least if we can, we got some we got some posts in the chat. So okay, all right. The voices are still being heard, but having the ladies joining the panel will have helped, and I wish that Kefi will have stayed for a little longer. But hey, it's a good chat, it's a good conversation, and this is needed. This is needed because I'm all for improving the communication between men and women, and this subject directly ties into something that I'm having an idea for a live stream. So I will be making reference to this subject. So it's looking like it's gonna be, it may be tomorrow, and this is something that I want you guys to be part of. So I'm gonna make sure to let you know. But this subject does tie in
Um,
something that I have an idea about. So we're gonna be having a conversation about that, but it does have to do with communication. It does have to do with that. So again, Don Jose, not much else. Not much else I have to say about that. I mean, definitely the importance of communication between men and women. I'm all for it. I want that to improve. Whatever it is that it can be better, it can be improved. I'm all for it, and I want to be part of that conversation. Don Jose, I appreciate you letting me on your panel once again. And shout out to the ladies and everybody in the chat, and shout out to you, Jose, of course, and Joaquin, and Don Armando too. So thank you for having me.
Well, I'm gonna have a stream tomorrow at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. What I can do is I can start earlier, so that way, if you want to do a stream after that,
All right.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I should be. Yeah, about I'm gonna be looking out for your stream. If I can't join right away, then I'm gonna make sure to support and still post something in the chat and all. But you do your thing. Don't feel forced to have to change anything. You keep it at your schedule. If you want to do it a little earlier, then be done with it. That's fine too. But don't feel that you have to change anything that you have to do. But so I can do it. I can do it a little later in the early evening. It's just that I don't want it to get too late, because then there might be other streams that are gonna start because it's Friday night, and several people might start streaming, and I'll get buried in that because I'm so small. My channel is so tiny. I mean, I'm gonna end up getting
well,
buried in the bigger channels.
well, well, I have a small channel too. I only have 135 subs, so.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, that's the thing. You're still bigger than me. So, uh, so
Okay, so what I got, so
too.
what we're gonna
Mhm.
do? So I'm gonna put you in the backstage. Hopefully, there won't be any technical difficulties, and we can have a backstage. Otherwise, we'll just continue in the group chat. So I'm gonna thank you very much, Ramon. So I'm gonna put you in the backstage.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you. So now we're going to um, now we're going to go to Don Armando and his final remarks.
Well, it was a pleasure for you to have me here, Don Jose. And I
Yes.
wish that more women would have showed up. But hopefully, if we do have a next stream, I guess within this topic, or if we revisit this topic, hopefully, I guess I'll try to see if I could get certain females that I know that could be on the panel. So have a good night. I
Mhm.
wish I could be in the back channel, but I'll have to go to work tomorrow. And it was nice talking to you, Don Jose, and it was nice talking to you, 18th letter.
Oh, no doubt. Take it easy, Don.
Okay.
Have a
Well,
good one.
thank you very well. Well, thank you, and be safe out there.
You too, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So now we're going to go to the 18th letter and his final remarks.
Yeah, my final remarks is that communication is key. A lot of the times it's not as difficult as people make it seem. You know, like I said, we know what triggers each other. Um, we know how to communicate, and that's not a gender thing. That's just an adult thing. I think, if it's something that's bothering somebody, if it's something that you want someone to know, people know how to speak about it and, communicate with each other the best way that they can amongst the men and women. Uh, I think it's a deeper issue than miscommunication. I think a lot of the times it just may be people that are just not maybe communicating what the actual issue is versus not communicating at all. So that's all I really have to say.
Okay.
And thanks again for having me up.
Well, thank you very much. And just want to let everybody know that the 18th letter has its own channel. So please subscribe and check out his content. So I'm going to put you in the backstage. Just give me a moment. Okay. Now I'm going to give you my final words. Kayfit, excuse me. So I'm going to give you my final remarks. Kayfit, it's okay. There'll be other opportunities for you, to join other panels. So we'll see each other. Oops, we'll see each other soon. Now, as going back to the original topic, the whole purpose of the stream was to see what we can do to try to improve communications among the sexes. I think in a small way we accomplished that goal. If we can, if we can understand that there are differences, the bottom line is those of us who are sincerely want to communicate better without any judgment or any fear, we will achieve that. So I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to be live. Okay, originally I was going to go on live at 7 o'clock. I'm going to go live at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And what we're going to do is we're going to have just an open discussion. So we're just going to talk about various different topics. And as always, I'm going to thank everybody who appeared on the chat for all their comments. I thank everyone who appeared on the platform. Ramon, Joaquin, Don Armando, and Kayfit. So that being said, I'm going to close the same way I always close. Do not let the errors of the past damage your future, and we must do everything possible to minimize our contact with the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by the stupidity and mass insanity. That being said, this has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, and I thank you very much, and take care, and peace. Oops.